I'm Steve Rosales, and welcome to another edition of Belmont Journal. With me today is our newest member of the Select Board, Carol Kennedy Berberian. Nice to see you, Carol.
Nice to see you as well, Mr.
Here we
Rosales.
are. And today is, let me get the date right, because this is sort of a red letter day in the history of Belmont media, August 26, 2026. And I am being told we are broadcasting direct and live. Live, we're broadcasting from the Belmont Public Library, the newest studio here for Belmont Media. And I understand this is the Virgin broadcast. So either I'm honored or we'll see what happens. You never know. But I'm sure we'll muddle through it. And the quality of my guest will certainly overshine the host. So, Carol, so it is August. So Election Day was in April, if I remember correct. So it's been May, June, July, August. 4 months since you've assumed a chair at the on the Belmont Select Board. So how's your experience been thus far? Is it all you imagined it would be?
There are always a lot of expectations coming into a new role, and I have really approached this with the goal of being honest and transparent, asking sometimes difficult questions, digging a little bit deeper, and looking for some creative ways that we can continue to improve this wonderful community that we live in. And it's been a really great experience. It's a lot of work, and I have really enjoyed digging into many different levels. I have to say, so far, the best part about it has really been broadening the different residents that I get to interact with. I've had the opportunity to speak to people that I probably would not have crossed paths with in our community, and hearing different people's perspective and really understanding what their experience in the town has been a really great part of it. I have talked to residents in every possible scenario in our town. Our seniors who have their unique situations that they're dealing with, people with children in the school, people who are brand new to Belmont, people like yourself who have grown up here and lived here for many decades. And I've also had a really great opportunity to work with and talk to the people that keep our town running. And all of our municipal workers, the people that are in town hall, in our police and fire stations, and our DPW workers that do so much around town. We have an amazing group of people that support us here in Belmont.
So you do have a full-time job other than this, other than being a mom, a parent, member of the PTO, an active member in the in the community here for all these years. But you manage this. So when I ran, they said, "Oh, it's really not much of a time commitment." As far as I was concerned, that was mid 30 plus years ago. But it really hasn't changed. They all lied. There's a lot of work. How you handling the workload?
I get up really early. It is definitely a lot of work, and we put in a lot of hours. There are a lot of meetings, but it's really valuable, and I've been making a very strong effort to attend as many meetings as I can in addition to our own select board meetings, because I feel it's really important to support the work that our individual boards and committees are doing, as well as staying involved and informed on what they are working on. So that's been another important part to me. We also get to attend so many events. I feel popular with the number of invitations that we receive, and it's been great to get to so many different events, and some of the newer events too. So the police department recently held an award ceremony to recognize 3 members of our community, and that was something that hadn't been done before, and it was such a special day to see these 3 people from 3 very different areas of the community be recognized for just being who they are. And we've had some great events with our veterans and the schools. We just had a welcome coffee this morning through the PTSO for the high school to welcome our incoming freshman class, as well as people that have newly transferred into Belmont. And it was a wonderful opportunity to meet a lot of new people.
Well, that sounds terrific. We're gearing up for school. We're gearing up for the school year is what? It's the 26th. So when's it start? I think it starts before Labor Day. When's the first day? You would probably know. You have.
I do.
So when's the first day of school?
A week from today.
A week from today.
Yes, a week from today.
I don't know if that's good or bad. Will it return to normalcy, or it's always, I'm sure, a crazy time?
I like structure and routine, so getting back into the school year is always a positive, and our athletic teams are busy, as many of our students are, in gearing up, finishing those summer reading projects, and we really have the high school sports season well underway with tryouts starting this week. And I was talking to our athletic director Adam, who was letting us know that out of the Middlesex League, Belmont has the most number of teams, which is impressive for our town. They
Really?
perform very well.
Does the athletic director, is that the high school teams, or does that include the 7th and 8th? They're all in the same building now.
We are all in the same building. That is just through the high school teams.
Okay, so he's the high school team. So
Yes.
yeah, they have sports there now that didn't exist, or at least were not only on the prep schools, like lacrosse. That's become very and rugby. We didn't have rugby team, and I think the girls are the national champs again.
Yes, they are. We got the opportunity to have them join us at a select board meeting recently where we celebrated their 8th consecutive championship win. They are an amazing group of people.
And of course, 8 years, of course, it's not the same players. They rotate in, rotate out. So I don't know. Who knew Belmont girls were so tough to be national champions? Not just town, state, but national champions, I think, right?
Yes.
In rugby.
And I think
of
that
all
goes
things.
for a lot of the women in Belmont. Yes, they are.
Well, I have 3 daughters, and I certainly am understanding of that. I went through a lot of sports with all 3 of them, let me tell you. So, well, that's terrific. And lacrosse, that seems to, and of course, we have a new rink. So the hockey team is now actually going to be playing at home. We're going to have home games.
It'll be our second season with the hockey teams. We did get there just in time for last season, and so looking forward to going in with the full season again this year, and they're doing great. Everything's
Okay.
looking good
Well,
for
since
them.
we're on the rink, so little off script, but I think you have some rink experience, I think, in there somewhere. So all the bugs out, we all ready to go?
Things are going well at the rink. I was involved at the planning board level when we were doing the original approval, and so I was fortunate to go through a lot of the process. And as a hockey mom, I do spend a
Well,
lot of
that's what I'm
time in the
saying.
rink.
Yeah, down
Yes,
the rink.
as a kid, I grew up in the original skip, going there and having my toes very cold on those mornings. But the rink has had a couple of hiccups, but overall things are really picking up speed, and we are making a lot of improvements there.
Well, no new building ever comes out to be perfect. I mean, it takes a little time to, what I'll call the shakedown cruise of the building, where everything sort of gets figured out and dealt with.
Yes.
There's always punch list. There's always things that need to be tweaked, but it seems to be terrific. Ready to go, ready for another season. Of course, I drove by the pool today. That seems to be pretty crowded. So, and of course, we're now in the brand new library, so we have all the new toys.
We certainly do, and Concord Ave is ever evolving, and we have had a lot of construction going on now with the road paving, and that is going pretty smoothly, and we'll have the lines repainted soon for the people who have been asking about the progress there and what's happening. The other project that we have going on Concord Ave right now is the old jug handle across from the pool next to the rink is being reconfigured to bring more parking spaces to the area. And as we've talked about, parking is very important, and figuring out how we can continue to improve the parking on Concord Ave through Belmont Center is a project that we are definitely committed to continuing to work on.
Well, you brought up the P word, parking.
Yes.
And that seems to be a pretty common complaint, especially among some of our older folks, myself included, where we either go to a sporting event or we go to a town meeting or we go to something in the field house to see grandkids, children, whatever the event might be, and we have to park, like 45 minutes away. It's kind of, well, if I had not seen and parked in a parking lot that had existed in the front of the school, where now there are 3 or 4 unhealthy looking little trees, I would say, I don't know, why don't we park there? I know you don't have an answer to that, but I see many people, not just me, see open space available for parking in front of the high school, a lot of open space available in front of the new rink where you could put some automobiles, either for the public or for the pool or for the rink or even the high school kids as they come to school, to keep them off of Concord Avenue, which is, it's an obstacle course, but that's just my personal 2 cents.
Many people feel the same way. The temporary parking in front of the high school was something that was loved by many, but also disliked by many. But one of the challenges there is that was designed as a temporary lot. So the necessary drainage and things like that were not in place to keep that long term. It is an ongoing conversation, and we've expanded the parking management conversation from the Belmont Center development perspective and looking into Concord Ave as well. Over the years, you've been here for a long time, as have I. There have been changes through the center where there used to be a lot more on-street parking in the neighborhoods on the other side of Concord Ave, and that had slowly changed over the years, and now we are looking at new options of where we can improve on the parking in town.
All right, well, that continues to be a situation. So, okay, well, I appreciate that. So it's being looked at.
Yes, it
That's all I
is.
can say.
Yes, it is.
It's being looked at. Okay. Uh, okay, so, well, you've been here. Okay, I've been here since the first grade at the Winbrook School, Miss Greener. And I don't know, that was a long, long, long time ago. You are a lifelong resident here? You grew
I
up
am.
here?
I did.
And so which elementary?
I went to Wellington Elementary School. My daughters also went to Wellington. We all went to Chenry, and both my husband and I graduated from Belmont High School. My parents graduated from Belmont High School, and we have some generations before that as well.
Well, I played softball for, I don't know, 30 years against your father.
Benton Square.
And, Benton Square. I was the Bombers, and we had a lot of great times then. But so in as much as you've been here your whole time, you've observed the town. The town, obviously, over time has gone through changes, some good, some bad. And from your perspective, are there some things that you've seen that you liked you like change? Some of the changes, or that you see improvements in with the town? And are there perhaps things that you've been a little bit disappointed in seeing?
I think the majority of the change that we've had has been very positive. The newer school buildings and all of the modifications that we've made to improve things. Some of the bigger things are the Beach Street Center, which is several years old now at this point, but I was volunteering at the senior center when it was in the church basement. So having the facility that we have now and seeing it used at such a high level is really a great feature. I love the new library. I really enjoy being here and have enjoyed spending a lot of time here. We, of course, utilize the rink, and both of my daughters are at the new high school building. So there's been a lot of positive things. Like many of our communities, we have seen a massive increase in traffic. A lot of it is cut-through traffic, and that's a challenge that we're constantly trying to work through. But I think the biggest consistent piece that I've always loved about Belmont is the community. And whether people grew up here or just moved in here, I think everyone seems to find their spot and find ways that they fit in with the community and what makes them happy to be in Belmont. And that's something that I don't think we'll ever lose.
Well, we do have a certain Belmont pride, and we are just, we are what we are. I mean, we're not Watertown. We're on the other side of the hill, but we're landlocked. We have some beautiful homes, and a lot of them, and that's why our taxes are big. Mm-hmm. So some people indicate, we've gone through we did some zoning a few years ago in Cushing Square.
Sure.
And, they built some buildings, and some have their apartments, and there are still unoccupied stores, which is troubling to me as a guy that has his office up in Cushing Square. And we've done some improvements or some zoning overlay changes for the center and surrounding area. And so some people have opined that given these changes, Belmont is becoming less of a suburban community, small town atmosphere, and becoming more urbanized. Mm-hmm. So any thoughts as to that, as to whether or not this is a good thing, a bad thing, at least from your perspective?
I think when you look at the growth and development in Belmont that we've seen so far and what people really like and what people have concerns about, I think that the unknown is usually what comes up as the biggest concern that people have of what's going to happen when these things come into play. And when you look at some of the development, Cushing Square is unfortunate that we don't have things in those storefronts now. But I do think that when you run into many friends at Starbucks and across the street at the many different options in Cushing Square I think is a great place to be. And some of the stores and different things in there are a really great part of our community. Keeping Belmont Center as a vibrant part of our town is really important, and looking at what growth potential exists there is part of just the natural progression of what comes next. I've been looking a lot at our underlying zoning and what you can already do and questioning why aren't people doing some of these things already. So you look at the development that we had in Waverly Square, for example, where Tate and Wonder and the residential units that have been built there have brought a nice amount of vibrancy to that area, mm-hmm. and things continue to grow and develop there as well. That is actually allowed under the zoning that's already in Belmont Center. So some of this is really a hope to draw some attention to what people can do in Belmont and look at what can make it easier for us to get there.
Okay, can they make it easier? One of the criticism, founded or unfounded, but I think probably reasonably founded, is that it's a very complex, complicated, difficult process to navigate through to build anything here in Belmont. Whether you be a new business coming in certain aspects, or whether you being some type of a developer looking to do something. What are your thoughts of that? Is there anything being done to maybe streamline that process or make it a little bit more friendly?
There is definitely that conversation happening, and there is a lot of concern surrounding that. I am newly working with the Economic Development Advisory Committee and looking at what can make it easier for people to open and operate their businesses in Belmont, but also looking at some of the issues that people have run into when they have been either working on building projects, opening businesses, is feedback that we're gathering right now to improve upon the process. One of the biggest things that the town is investing in right now is technology, and going to OpenGov and having some of these systems be more accessible online and more user-friendly is something that we really hope is going to help the process, and gaining more information about where people struggled is going to help us improve the process moving forward. I do think just making some additional changes to our underlying zoning and seeing where things are unnecessarily complicated, and also where certain things are now potentially starting to conflict with changes in Mass General law, is an everlasting conversation that we just continue to navigate through as people come to us with challenges that they're facing in the process. So lots of room for improvement, and I do think we've taken some critical steps to put us on a better path.
Okay, so you mentioned the vacant storefronts up at Cushing Square.
Yes.
They had a big, litigious back and forth with the owners of that, and I understand it's been settled and that litigation has been concluded, as resulting in some settlement agreement, the terms of which at least I don't know about. I don't know if they've ever been made public. But those commercial spaces remain, blatantly open and unoccupied. Mm-hmm. Can the town, to the extent can the town do anything to try to motivate or either motivate the owner or landlord to get somebody in there, or to go and recruit or attract some potential businesses to go in there that might put some foot traffic destination, nice restaurant, a grocery store of some sort, something that would draw people to the center? Because from my observation, because my law office is just a few doors away, the foot traffic that was expected, that would populate all of the surrounding small businesses in the square, I haven't really witnessed it happening. Probably because, or maybe because those big retail spaces or commercial spaces, or but for Starbucks, are empty. So I don't know if you know anything of that, and that's a question that just sort of cropped up just now, but
There's a few levels to it, and we had looked at it in the past to see what can we do with empty storefronts, and creating a registry has been an option that's been discussed, but there's not a lot that we can do to really force people to lower their asking rents to make sure that people are looking at it as a viable option. I actually enjoy the foot traffic on the other side of Cushing Square, and I find that it does stop at Starbucks on the Bradford corner. It doesn't extend around the corner up to where Ditto's and Highlands used to be. But I do think that we have some good traffic there. The cost per square foot is definitely something that's come up as a concern for people that are looking for space in Belmont from the conversations I've heard. But there's not a lot that we can do to force the owner. What we can do is really work on our marketing of what's available and what zoning options are available, what businesses we are looking to welcome and that can be opened in those spaces. And that's something that the Economic Development Advisory Committee is starting to work on now.
Okay, well, I hope that works out. We have some being discussed. We don't need to go into it in more depth, but there's a consideration now at the planning board level, and I guess at the select board and planning department level, of some type of zoning overlay for what's called the Hills Crossing.
Yes.
Down there, Brighton Street and Hittinger and that particular area. We'll see how that shakes out. I guess. That's going through the public hearing process and development at the time.
Yes, I was listening in. The planning board has been discussing it. They had a meeting last night to go through some of what they're looking at for dimensional requirements and other pieces of that. And again, the goal is to really look at what do we want to see in that area, what types of businesses are we hoping to attract, and how those will impact our community. So that process will continue, and I encourage people to check out the meetings that the planning board is hosting so you can learn more, ask some questions, and have your voice be heard.
Okay, so now we've covered all those very exciting topics. So let me see. So what's big? Yard waste. Let's talk about yard waste. Let's have some good yard waste talk. How do you think of that? So we had a big cutback on yard waste. What's going on there? And
So
why
some
was
of
that
the
all
complaints on yard waste have come from within my own home. We do our own landscaping, as many people in Belmont do, and it is definitely it's a challenge, and when we're looking at the budget, this was a decision that was made prior to my election to the board, so I didn't have an active role in it. We did look at whether or not we could spread out some of the pickups that are already planned for the fall, but one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we heard about this new change was that the communication didn't reach residents in a way that people felt worked for them. With the timing of town meeting and the timing of the change with the calendar, there wasn't a lot of notice that was provided. It had been discussed at meetings, but if you're not following along with every meeting, people didn't get that notice until the new calendar was out, and that was pretty simultaneous with the change. Some of the additional feedback was that if we changed the pickup schedule further at this point, it might just create further confusion. We are going to be nearing the end of the contract for our yard waste pickup in the near future, and when that goes out to bid, it'll be something that we can look at again and see what we can do with the budget.
So why was it cut in the first place?
It was a cost-saving measure, and it was to just make a little bit more room in our ever-growing budget with our limited resources.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one of my beefs. Not that I want to become the crank of Belmont, but one of my pet peeves, if you will. So a bit of history. You're much younger than me, so maybe it doesn't register with you. But at one point in time, years ago, Belmont had an override that was specifically earmarked for trash pickup and yard waste pickup. That's what it was for. And Belmont voted for extra funds for trash and for yard waste and things of that sort, where you could put the stuff out on the street and it would get picked up on a regular scheduled basis. That $1 million or whatever that was has now, over inflation, grown to $5 or $6 million. At least last time I was listening, it's a whole lot of more money. It seems to me, and from what I understand, is that now that doesn't have to go to trash pickup anymore, and the town can put it wherever they want to be. My beef is, well, while that may be legally true, I don't find it to be morally or the right thing to do. We voted for trash pickup. The money's there for trash pickup. It was dedicated for trash pickup, and now it's the generic you. The town is now saying, oh, we don't have any money, but there's plenty of money, in my opinion, for trash pickup. So that's my beef.
And I think that's very legitimate. And although I wasn't on the board when this decision was made, I am a continuation. It's less about me as an individual and the role that we serve to represent the residents. And I think that it's something that definitely needs to be looked at again.
Well, again, I'm not making this personal to you.
Sure.
I guess it's a precedent, okay? Because if a previous board or any board went for an override and said, we are going to use this override money for XYZ purpose, a legitimate identified purpose, and the town votes for that purpose, and then years later the town then sort of reneges and moves the money, even though maybe legally, to other purposes, to the expense of the original, to the detriment of the original purchase, like trash. I find that to be very disappointing, and I would be less inclined, to vote for anything like that. I become a little less trusting of the town. And I say that as a former selectman in a longtime town meeting member, but I don't think I'm alone in that opinion.
Yes, and I think the change in the schedule is definitely something that was looked at from the perspective of how do we continue to provide the services and stay within the constraints of the budget.
All right, well, we can go round and round. The budget's there, you just pick it from another pocket. That's all I'm saying. But in any event, all right, something more happy. Hey, U.S. News and World Report, we got a couple minutes left, came out with its ranking of public high schools in the United States and state high schools in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And Belmont High School, our own Marauders, number 2 in Massachusetts, second only to Boston Latin, beating all the others, Lexington, Wayland, you pick it, Acton, Boxborough, all Winchester, Needham, Newton, number 2 and number 138 nationally, if you can believe it, nationally, out of, I don't know, 50,000 high schools in the country. It's an amazing thing. They've done a great job. I think that's great news.
I agree, and we are so grateful for the work that they do, and we're really lucky to have such an amazing community of talented people, and it's evidenced with our younger generation in the schools. They work really hard, and it's a reflection on the community and the high value that our community places on education, and it's something that we're very proud of.
Well, and we should be. So I know you're on the select board, but I'm going to give you get the spillover congratulations. I'll extend this publicly to the administration of the school. I can be critical. We can all be critical as the budget because it's a huge hunk of the regular budget, but they should be very proud of what they're doing and the results they're getting with the money they're given. That's the school committee, the school administration, and of course the students and the teachers, of course. So I don't know. I'm a proud guy. I'm a member of it. My siblings all went. My 3 kids all went. You went. Your kids are going. We've all survived. We've all survived.
The schools are one of the primary draws to our community, and it is a really impressive representation.
Okay, so we'll end on a happy note. So if people want to talk to you, how do they find you?
You can find me walking around town many times.
Oh, that's good.
And also email Berberian at belmont-ma.gov. Reach out anytime, and when you see me around town, feel free to flag me down, say hello. I look forward to hearing from you. Connecting with the residents, I think, is one of the most important parts of this position, and hearing what your concerns are, what you want to see happen, and making sure that you feel that your voices are heard is really important to me, and I look forward to talking to you.
Well, you did a fabulous job. It wasn't difficult. Well, there you have it. Another edition of Belmont Journal in the books. The initial broadcast here from the brand new Belmont Public Library studio. Until next time, I'm Steve Rosales. Take care.